that doing anything? Okay. Hopefully I'll fix the problem. It had the internet connection was on the wire, but I also had the Wi-Fi turned on, which I don't even know how I did that. But now I don't have any drop frame rates or drop frames, so. But now I don't have any drop frame rates or drop frames, so. Okay, well. So was that what the problem was? It would appear so, because it seems to be back better now. How did the Wi-Fi get turned on? And it's... oh, I don't know. Hello everyone, apologies. Should we... I mean, I'm going to try and get through the Chen thing. Because I do want to get through it, because the thing is, I think it's worthwhile debunking Nazi bullshit. So, we could do that. Oh no, that's me. That's not Chen. There we go. Socialist lies. That's what we're after.
About that, but again, if you...
Anyway. Right. So. I'll wait for a few people to get in. Hello everyone. How are we all? Yeah, 0 drop frames now. So I think I know what the problem was. So I think I'm back. By the way, for anyone who is here, hello to the million people who followed me to the 20th fucking stream I've done tonight. I'm going to have to delete at least 2 of them. Anyway, yeah, Wednesday evening I'll be on with Tim Pool, not Tim Pool, but with Tim Pool Clips, who's the internet account. Well, I can show you who they are. Tim Pool Clips, who's this account, which says they're Twitter's #1 source of Tim Pool analysis, criticism, commentary, and review. Submissions / tips welcome. So, and it's like it does actual research on Tim Pool's bullshit. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, all of this sort of thing. The random Tim Pool bits and stuff. Yeah. So I'll be on with them to talk about Tim Pool stuff. Tomorrow night. No, not tomorrow night. Wednesday night, 7 PM UK time, 2 PM East Coast of America, 6 AM in Fiji. So that'll be a bit of fun, hopefully. Anyway, yes. So yeah, we'll be doing that, and we have something to talk about because Tim Pool was going to be debating Sam Cedar, or talking to Sam Cedar, and Tim Pool backed out, but he's blaming Sam Cedar for backing out, which is Anyway, yes. So Chen, hang on a second. Monday, wasn't it? I'm looking for. There we go. Chen. She was going on about if people can make it in America, people have got more chance of making it in America than anywhere else. And I'm not sure if it got cut off before then. So I'm going to show you why she's full of shit. Because that isn't true. The American dream is basically dead in America, ironically. This is the Global Social Mobility Report 2020. Equality, opportunity, and a new economic imperative. And we go down to page 7. We have here the Global Social Mobility Index 2020 rankings. It's got all the countries, or at least the first 82 of them. And you've got ethnically mixed countries like Sweden. We looked at those statistics. Number 4. Netherlands, number 6. Belgium, number 8. Germany, we looked at that, number 11. France, number 12. So, you know, some very ethnically mixed nations there. UK, a bit embarrassing at 21, but nowhere near as embarrassing as the United States at 27. So no, Lauren, you're literally, well, not you, because you're from Canada, but America is behind the economic superpower known as Lithuania. Yes, a former Soviet republic that's now an independent country in the Baltic. Well, it was always in the or on the Baltic Sea. Anyway, not exactly, and no offence to the people of Lithuania, the fantastic people of the fantastic nation of Lithuania. No offence whatsoever. But when you think of if you can make it, anywhere in the world, you'll make it in Lithuania. It's not really the place you think of, right? And they're ahead of the United States. Albeit only slightly, but they're ahead of the United States in terms of social mobility. So no, Lauren, you can't. It's not easier to make it in the United States than anywhere else. It's easier in Lithuania and Estonia and Ireland and Malta and Slovenia. Literally, fucking, if Melania Trump had stayed in Slovenia, she had a better chance of making it on her own than if she'd gone to America. But I mean, she went to America to fuck a horrid orange bastard. So that's how she made it in America. But by and large, if she'd stayed in Slovenia, she had a better chance of making it. So I mean, no, you're just wrong on every level.
If you haven't seen all of that video, I do suggest you go and check it out just to get a better sense of what I and the Gravel Institute were each trying to argue. We are not done with our current saga, but before we go on, I want to save you some money. That's right, I want to save you money on car and homeowners insurance, thanks to our sponsor, Gabby. So when you've had the same car insurance or homeowners insurance, the reason why I mention all of that is because it turns out on social media, someone chose to clip part of my video and share it. And
oh, it's out of context. I was doing white nationalism, but the context made it fine.
Here is the clip that's been circulating. There are a lot of differences between the US, Germany, and Finland. But if you ask a socialist why it is that Germany and Finland perform better than the US...
No, well, for those who don't know, because this is the third time I've tried to stream tonight, she already played this clip earlier in the video. So she's playing the clip of herself from a previous video twice in this video. Mental.
In certain metrics, they'll say it's because the government is bigger and the taxes are higher. That is the answer to prosperity. Is that right, though? Are higher taxes and big government really the answer to Germany and Finland's success? It couldn't possibly be because they have overwhelmingly homogenous populations.
Which they don't.
Right? Populations that, by the way, also have a higher average IQ and narrower distribution than the US does.
IQ is pseudoscientific nonsense.
Still do agree with everything.
Differences are minuscule anyway.
I'm saying in this clip, but I think it's interesting that this person in question chose to remove the context of the Gravel Institute video that I was responding to.
That isn't. By the way, great face there. Just when you catch someone mid-blink, they always look drunk or high or something. Anyway, I know. Trust me, I edit my own shit. I know how weird I look. Anyway. The point here is that editing out the Gravel Institute bit is A, because it's often more difficult to upload bigger videos to Twitter, so whatever. But also, adding what the Gravel Institute said doesn't add context to what you said. You still just did weird nationalist, white nationalist, neo-Nazi bullshit about ethnically homogenous societies. Basically, she goes up to the point of advocating for eugenics and then steps back. It's basically, well, that's modern conservatism, basically.
The Gravel Institute video advocating for big government and trying to attribute Germany and Finland's successes to specifically their big government and their high government spending. Now, when
no, you don't need that extra content because you explain that that's what they're saying at the start of your thing. So the context actually is there.
Who saw this video clip, her response was, mixed race person living in Canada telling Americans they can't also have healthcare because America is too racially diverse. I am exhausted. What? First off, I really do love being called mixed race person. I mean, that is what my close friends and family refer to me as. So
yeah, it's not a great phrase, but why are you that bothered? Are you expecting political correctness? Because I thought fuck your feelings was the thing. So you expecting Shoe to be all like, I don't know, politically correct about it? Because that would be a strange hypocrisy on your part, Lauren. Just saying. But also, it doesn't change the fact that, however problematic a phrase it is, it's literally true in the sense that you are, I think her father was of East Asian origin and her mother was North American, like a white settler. Um, so that you are literally mixed race. So the fact that you're getting uppity about that seems a little bit odd, especially because you seem to rail against identity politics, but you're happy to play identity politics in a second. I know, surprising, isn't it?
Just love when that can be brought to political conversations. It's fun. But also, I am not telling Americans anything any more than I am telling German or Finnish people.
Yeah, you are. You are literally advocating. You are doing a prescriptive public policy option that you prefer. Sorry, that the people who pay for you prefer. Okay, those the fucking horrific Mercers or Koch brothers or whoever, the Wilkes brothers perhaps. A lot of brothers going on. Although one of the Koch brothers is dead. Lol. Anyway, a lot of brothers there going on. Who astroturf the right wing's online presence. Those people believe in those prescriptive public policy options, that being small government, lol, except for like massive militaries and strong borders and all the rest of it. But other than that, small government when it comes to, like, healthcare or keeping people alive, that's irrelevant to them. So yes, you are telling them to do those things because that's literally what you're prescribing. The fact that you felt the need to respond to the Gravel Institute shows me what your opinions are and what you want to happen. Otherwise, why would you respond to them?
Stuff. It's simply a conversation about the merits and detriments of big government. As an American or whoever, you can do whatever you want with that information. And on top of that,
but if they don't do what you want, you will continue to complain and say it's evil socialism. So don't talk shit.
saying that a population is homogenous is not the same as saying that, oh, it's just not racially diverse.
Because this is the fundamental lie she's going to try and tell here. When she says homogenous, she doesn't mean racially homogenous. I'm not being racist. She's really bad at dog whistling, and she's even worse at backpedaling from the dog whistle.
There's a lot more that goes into homogeneity, especially when we're talking about a socioeconomic issue like big government and poverty levels, economic mobility, things.
So you want a society with more economic mobility? Okay, cool. So why are you advocating for American policies then? Why are you advocating for free market policies when, again, do I have to go back? Do I have to go back to the social mobility report again, Lauren? I'll show you. The Nordic countries with the big governments. Do you remember the thing you don't like, right? Even though you want a society with homogenous economic mobility, look at the first the first 5 countries are Denmark, Norway, Finland, Sweden, Iceland, the Nordic/Scandinavian nations. Literally the 5 of the bastards. No offence, I'm not calling you bastards in a bad way. I'm saying the 5 nations that make up that grouping are the top 5 socially mobile nations on the fucking planet, Lauren. So if you want a society that has social mobility, what you should be advocating for is the Nordic social democratic model. Because that's what allows for that. Whereas more free market nations like Britain, 21, or UK, 21, or United States, 27, dreadful. Fucking dreadful. Even though we're much richer than those other nations.
Things like that.
But we know she's not talking about social mobility, she's talking about race. She's talking about racial groupings, obviously.
My video wasn't even about healthcare, it's about big government and...
Which involves healthcare. So yeah, it wasn't specifically just about healthcare, it was about other things. Other things like, social safety nets, which these top nations also have. These nations have much higher public spending than a percentage of their GDP than America does. And they have increased social mobility.
I don't think I even mentioned healthcare once.
You don't need to. Big government is synonymous in many respects in America or North America with healthcare. But regardless, healthcare is a part of that. So you don't need to mention healthcare because we know what you mean, Lauren. Just was when you say homogeneity, you don't necessarily have to say racial because we know what you mean. That's how dog whistles work.
But if you want to talk about healthcare, shoot, there is healthcare in America.
When she said you can't have healthcare, she didn't mean there's no healthcare. I'm sure Shoeonhead knows that there's healthcare. This is such disingenuous shit.
You could maybe say there's not a universal single-payer system in America, but that doesn't mean there's no healthcare. Okay, there is healthcare.
If you're rich, there's healthcare if you're rich enough. Whereas in the nations, you claim to want social mobility. In the nations, the top nations here that have the top 5 nations again. Oh, it won't let me go on fight anyway. The top few nations in the social mobility worldwide index have strong social safety nets. They have universal healthcare, and the largest percent or the largest score in terms of social mobility in the world. Lauren. So yeah, and now she's going to damsel because her dad was apparently ill, so she's going to cry on screen to get sympathy. I don't know how else to describe this. This is shameless.
Just had to fly my parents down to the US because my father got a scan revealing he had liver cancer, and he went months in the Canadian healthcare system with no follow-ups. All right, so there's your Canadian healthcare system.
What you see here is A, damseling, and B, two. 1 and 2, A and B. You get the idea. I don't know her specific her father's specific situation, but going months in the current climate without that kind of healthcare thing is really, really common around the world. Because I don't know if you're aware of this, Lauren, but there's a thing called COVID-19, which is a global pandemic which has involved huge monumental strains put on healthcare systems around the world, whether they be universal healthcare systems or partial payer systems or entirely private systems or whatever. All of them have been put under massive strain, which has meant that things have had to go by the wayside. Unfortunately, it's essentially a matter of picking your poison as to whether you have healthcare provision for COVID, the immediate thing, or things that might be able to wait, like cancer screenings, which unfortunately will kill some people. It's fucked up. It's horrible. I hate it. But if it's a choice between the global pandemic thing, which could kill hundreds of thousands, as it has in America, or potentially delaying some cancer screenings and things like that, which is bad for public health, but is potentially much less bad for public health, that's the route they've gone. The same is true in America, Lauren. People have been going without cancer screenings, without like mammograms and shit like that, because unfortunately the healthcare systems are put under such stress by COVID that other things have gone by the wayside. It's one of the additional side negative effects of the pandemic in general. Okay, so you crying and saying America saved me. America saved your dad because you were able to crowdfund, which by the way, kind of socialism there, kind of asking other people to pay for your healthcare even though you're kind of rich anyway. You were able to crowdfund the money to go to the private system in America, bypass all of the poor people in America that were already there, who are, dying of easily preventable diseases. Not just cancer, things like, small medical ailments, which not treated, therefore not getting preventative medicine, develop into much more serious conditions which kill people all the fucking time. Very common in America. You bypassed all of those people because through your socialistic action of crowdfunding, you collectively pulled money together from other people who didn't work for that money. Those people worked for that money, and were able to bypass all of the poors in America, all of the brown people, the poor people, all of those fuckers, and were able to go to America and crowdfund and pay privately for your dad's healthcare. The thing is, Lauren, the poor people that you bypassed in America, they don't have that option. They just die. So save your fucking crocodile tears, okay? If you cry one salt tear for each of those people that you bypassed, you would be desiccated. You would turn into a dehydrated husk, a corpse of a person, okay? You bypassed them, you didn't give a fuck. So you save your tears, I'm not fucking interested.
for you. And you know what? I'm not saying the American healthcare system is perfect, but I am sick and tired of the narrative that because Canadians have government healthcare, they're not able to contribute to the healthcare debate. That is the opposite of what is needed, because socialists like you are under the assumption that everything is a utopia. It's all fairy tales and roses in...
No, no one is under that assumption. Well, other than Michael Moore, who made a propaganda flick a few years back about how socialised medicine's brilliant. It's much better. It's not brilliant. Nothing's brilliant. You're dealing with a healthcare system. You're essentially trying to stave off the inevitable, which is death. Okay? So nothing's perfect. Dealing with humans is not perfect. Okay? What they're saying is, in a healthcare system like that, whilst, say, in Britain, if you're rich enough, you can buy private healthcare, but essentially all you get is a nicer bed to lie in. It's the same doctor. Trust me, I know this. It's the same doctor that will be treating you if you have private healthcare or public healthcare, okay? Because we have one lot of doctors. That's it. If you've got cancer, whether you're rich or poor, you get cancer treatment. It's not perfect. It's not perfect by a long shot. But you don't just die, as you do in America. Yeah. So, again, if you had any sympathy for the people you bypassed by cheating the system, because you socialistically asked and damseled for money for your father's treatment in America, if you cried one tear for all of the people you fucked over by cheating the system there, you would die of dehydration. Again, save it, Lauren. You're full of shit. What you're advocating for is for poor people to die without healthcare. So, the fact that your dad got ill, no offence to your dad, I don't know him. I hope he's better. I hope he got the healthcare he needed. But the thing is, you were able to financially pay for that. A lot of other people don't have that choice. Other people don't have access to that. So, save your salt tears. I care not for them.
Canada, because we have this beloved government system, and that is not the case. People die up here waiting for care. And you know...
Well, yeah, but people die in America not waiting for anything because they don't even get to wait for care. Like, there's never an option for care. They just die. Not just that, but the unseen thing, the thing that you can't really even put on a graph. Like, you can put on a graph, you know, this is the number that have healthcare, this is the number that don't have healthcare, this is ones that have like some healthcare but not enough to really get by. Okay? You can put that on a graph. That can be statistically followed. The amount of pain people live in. Whenever I've talked to Americans, I like to try and ask them things like, if they have ailments that they don't go get treated because it would cost too much. And the amount of Americans who are living with like severe joint pain, like knee pain, ankle pain, neck pain, back pain, that they just don't go and get treated because it would cost a fortune. It would cost far too much. They can't afford it. They literally only go to the doctors when they're about to die. What you have in America isn't healthcare, it's sick care. That doesn't happen here. If you have a problem, you go to the doctors. You know what they do? They treat you. Because they don't ask to see your bank account. They say, okay, what's your medical problem? And if it's a severe medical problem, they'll book you an appointment with a specialist at the hospital. And you go and get it treated. Not perfect. Sometimes the waits aren't great. But sometimes the waits in America aren't great either. And, of course, like I say, if you're poor, there's no waiting involved. You just live with it or die with it. So, you capitalists can fuck off if you want my sympathy. What you're trying to do is kill millions of poor people. And you know what? I don't got a great amount of fucking sympathy for you. My feelings of empathy towards you and your father's plight kind of get snuffed out when you think that's the public policy prescription you're trying to make for the world. Fuck you.
You know what? One of the reasons why our healthcare system is so inundated in Canada is because we have taken on waves and waves of migrants who are now...
Why isn't that the case in America? Because you were arguing earlier, Lauren, that America's taken in waves of people. Why isn't that the case in America then? Is it because they just let those poor people die? No, the reason that Canadian healthcare system is inundated at the moment is because of the COVID crisis. No, I'm not suggesting that immigration doesn't put pressures on healthcare systems. What you could do is tax the ridiculously rich people in your country to make up the difference. and more. Yeah. You could even then actually give tax cuts to poor people who would then spend that money and be a financial stimulus. I know, crazy talk, right? Fuck off.
Using the healthcare system that they have not paid into. So yeah, here is a mixed race person living in Canada who has some thoughts about healthcare.
Save your identity politics. I don't care that you're mixed race. Why would you say you're mixed race? You don't like being called mixed race, so why would you say you're mixed race? Or are you selectively using identity politics when it suits you? Lauren, yeah, you've got some thoughts. Shu wasn't saying you can't have thoughts on it. It's if you're not from the place, but you're prepared to parasitically ask other people for money so that you can financially fuck over America by trying to keep its healthcare system private and using that private healthcare system because you can afford to do so at the expense of the tens of millions of Americans who either have no coverage or insufficient coverage, who wouldn't have been able to get your dad's preferential treatment because of your riches or the people who support you's riches. Yeah, that's really hypocritical and shitty behaviour. I don't think she was saying you can't talk about this. She was saying if you do, maybe don't try and fuck over the American people, because that's not cool. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of Shoeonhead. I think the history that she and I have would conclusively prove that. The point is, she's got a very good point here. You, as a non-American, having taken advantage of the American private healthcare system because you can, whilst trying to export that healthcare system to Canada and the rest of the world by saying it's super awesome, isn't private healthcare awesome, is disgusting. You're a disgusting person.
Is that all right with you, white American? Do I have?
Whoa! Why are you being anti-white for? What's going on here? Why is Shu's race relevant to this? Don't bring your identity politics to the game. Marketplace of ideas. Attack the idea, not the person. Jesus.
Have your permission to share these opinions? And by the way,
have you been microaggressed? Was that a microaggression, Lauren, against you, by any chance? The hypocrisy of these people is remarkable.
None of this should be construed as me defending the American healthcare system. I mean, the American...
No, I'm just crying about the Canadian healthcare system and how great the American healthcare system is. But that's not me defending the American healthcare system. You're really bad at this, Lauren. You're really bad at lying. Stop.
The American healthcare system as it is right now was put in place by the Democrats, so...
Was it? That's really not true. The ACA didn't fundamentally change the American healthcare system. It just meant that pre-existing conditions were covered and there was like a mandate. But fundamentally, it's still the private healthcare system, which was put in by capitalists. I think you'll find, Lauren.
Oh, why would I? It just frustrates me when people defend a system like Canada's that they are clearly so uninformed about.
Right, except I can find lots and lots of Canadians who really love the Canadian healthcare system. I mean, I genuinely don't know, but let's look at the numbers here, okay? Canadian approval healthcare system polling. Let's see if the Canadian people like their healthcare system. Overwhelming support. New poll shows Canadians overwhelmingly support public health care. Shocking. Group says advocates of private systems are out of touch with most Canadians. The Canadian Medical Association, in a last-ditch effort to convince Canadians that their public healthcare system should be privatised, Canadian Medical Association CMA President has promised to pull out all the stops during the association's annual meeting. Trouble is, outlets' mission to lead the charge of privatisation is exactly the opposite of what 86% of Canadians want. Toronto-based Nanos research points overwhelmingly to 86.2%. 86.2%. Gallup. Let's see. Again, Donald Trump supports Gallup, so that's fine. Where are we? Availability. Hang on. Right. What's the somewhat satisfied? Oh, they're pretty similar, somewhat. Anyway, hang on a minute. Most Canadians confident in the healthcare system from the 18th of August, not July, August. Where are we? 3/4, more than 3/4. So again, I mean, you're one Canadian who doesn't like it. You're a minority, and I don't mean that racially. I mean literally, you are in the minority in terms of opinion on public healthcare in America, in Canada.
Anyway, about that clip featuring yours truly, Shoe also went on to say, "Sorry, Americans, you can't have healthcare like the rest of the developed world because the Browns." Again, did not say that.
Yeah, that's the whole point of a dog whistle. We know you didn't literally say it. What Shoe is doing there is translating the dog whistle into literal speak. You're literally saying, because there are brown people in America, because there are immigrants, those dirty, poor immigrant people, you can't have healthcare. You can't have a public healthcare system because they're low IQ. And apparently that means something.
Not at all. You have to be pretty slimy to take a conversation about big government and big government spending and twist it into, oh, so you don't want people to have healthcare.
No, that's literally what the American conservatism has been about. That's what Canadian conservatism is about. It's about denying people a social safety net. It's about making the government small in specific areas, like, healthcare.
And not even you don't want people to have affordable healthcare or government provided healthcare.
Right, but affordable healthcare, what does that mean, Lauren? Like, this is the thing, if you want to get into the specifics of it, that's fine, but you're not. At no point have I ever seen you produce a policy document which says this is how affordable healthcare would work in my ideal situation. So you're basically saying, yeah, fuck it, private healthcare is awesome, even though private healthcare leaves millions under or uncovered completely in America. So again, you're just being dishonest.
She's literally just saying you either love big government or no health care at all.
Again, what was that about being slimy with your interpretations of things? Because that's, again, not at all what Shoeonhead said. For instance, in Britain, in Germany, in various other places, you can have a nationalised healthcare system but still have the private option. They do in both of those places. I can't speak specifically to Canada. I don't know if the private option is available in Canada, but it certainly is in many other places. So, again, I've not seen Shoeonhead produce a policy document, so I can't speak to her particular opinion. But generally speaking, I'll speak from my perspective, as I seem to agree at least with the broad push of what Shoe is saying here. From my perspective, Lauren, it's not a matter of loving big government or not. And again, the idea that your small government is farcical given you want a massive border wall and a huge army and all the rest of it. So you're not pro-small government in the slightest. But even so, when it comes to social safety nets, okay, you can have public healthcare systems and private healthcare systems run in tandem. It just means that if you're poor, you can still get healthcare. If you're rich, you can still essentially buy a nicer version of it. But essentially, as long as poor people don't get completely fucked over, I think most people will be happy with that. But that's not what you're arguing for. You are literally saying that, fuck it, poor people shouldn't have the healthcare because look at what's happening in America. I'm defending America. You are defending the American healthcare system, whether you like it or not, even if you think it was put in by the Democrats. And by the way, if America's healthcare system is so super awesome that it saved your dad's life, and you think it was put in place by the Democrats, you should really send a nice big thank you card to the Democrats for saving your dad's life. Or are you selectively arguing when it suits you for one or the other, and you're talking shit? Ugh. Tricky, isn't it? That's the thing, Lauren. When you tell as many lies as you do in such rapid succession, you forget which lie you're supposed to be telling, don't you? If you just tell the truth, you don't need to remember, because you're just telling the truth always, aren't you? Crazy talk, I know.
And what is this notion that just because most migrants nowadays are brown, I can't criticize mass migration without blaming it on brown people?
No, it's not saying you can't criticise mass migration. It's when you're saying, if mass migration makes you less homogenous, therefore you're going to be less prosperous, you're saying there is something about mixed communities which is inherently wrong or bad or lesser than. So you're saying, in essence, you're arguing for the positiveness of ethno-states. That's what people are pointing out. It's not saying you can't be against migration, or you can't be for sensible, legal migration, or whatever potentially plausible but obvious straw man nonetheless that conservatives want to put up about their own arguments in order to hide the fact that they're just full of racial hatred and animus. But anyway, you can be against migration, mass migration or whatever, even though I'd still love to see what the fuck their definition of mass migration is. It seems to be basically anyone coming in whatsoever, but whatever. You can be against mass migration, but also not argue in favour of fucking ethno-states, which is what you're doing. And you're arguing in favour of some race and IQ-based eugenics bullshit. The fucking lies she's telling here is remarkable.
Specifically, like, that's some BS right there. There are tons of amazing immigrants out there who, yeah, are not white and they're very skilled, and that's fine, but come on,
But come on, the vast majority of brown people suck donkey dick. That's why would anyone think I'm racist? There are some migrants who are like cool and that, but come on, most of them are dog shit. Why are people calling me racist? Do you fucking hear yourself, woman? Really? Do you hear yourself? It's tiring dealing with this garbage, isn't it? Because it's such palpable shit. And it just shows me that the right wing don't want to learn anything. They're not interested in actual argumentation, which is why when they go on about the free marketplace of ideas, it's so fucking laughable. Because they don't want to listen to anything. They want to be pandered to. They want Tim Pool to tell them that it's all the Democrats' fault. They want this fucking idiot to go on about how Canada's shit healthcare system, even though it means poor people do get healthcare. And America's healthcare system's awesome, because I can afford to take my dad there and bypass all those funny little coloured brown chappy peeps. You know, those poor fuckers out there in Compton or wherever. Fuck them, right? I can go past them and just go to the top of the queue because I'm rich enough. And when I say rich enough, I mean I'm collecting other people's money because, you know, socialism's bad. But pooling money in order to buy healthcare that's better than would be otherwise available is bad unless I'm doing it somehow.
Migration absolutely has cultural and political effects on Western countries, and I mean, I don't think that should be off limits in terms of criticism, just because right now those migrants happen to be brown, and socialists apparently love to call people racist. Obviously, when it comes to politics, Shu and I don't agree, which is fine. That's not necessarily a problem in and of itself, but yeah, don't lie about what people have or have not said. It's not a good look. Just because you're a socialist, that doesn't mean you have to be a lying socialist.
I'd love to hear her examples of what she thinks non-lying socialism is. Because again, they like to put up weird straw men of people like, oh, there are some good migrants, but most of them are shit. Oh, there are some good socialists, but most of them are shit. Like, silly.
Anyway, through all of these posts, I did end up having some interactions with others.
Oh yeah, she has to go at Big Joel. She calls him smooth-brained, which is, wow, that's ironic, given your brain is literally a perfect sphere, Lauren, a perfect sphere of dog shit. Anyway, I'm done with this profoundly stupid individual. Anyway, the chat thing's still up there. There we go. Right. Well, how's everyone doing in the chat? How's everyone doing? Oh, hello, Phoenix. How are we? Just to clarify, black non-men showing any degree of impatience can just be written off as crazy. Who have a history of with actual. Well, I don't think I'm opening any up to her with open arms. I don't know if that criticism was specifically aimed at me, but I'm not welcoming Shu with open arms. I'm cautiously optimistic that she's moved in the right direction, but that's it. Like, I'm not. I don't know if that criticism was aimed at me. I think it's wrong. Tons of immigrants that are not white. Yeah, that's basically what she's saying. She's saying like brown people are shit. Why are people? And then going, why are people calling me racist? I just think brown people are bad. Silly. Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, as with all of these kind of, I mean, she's not black, so calling her an Uncle Tom would be slightly strange. But you get the idea, right? These people who are like one of the good ones type people, they'll be accepted whilst they're useful. But Lauren, you'll end up, if the fascists do actually fully take over, you'll be in the camps with us. Okay? I'll be in there. Well, even though I'm Whitey McWhiteface, I am an evil cultural Marxisms, so I'll be in the camps. Also, where do Conservatives get the idea we can't support refugees seeking asylum? Exactly, yeah. The conflation of immigration and asylum seeking is annoying because they are different things. Tokens, that's the word I'm looking for. Yeah. Yeah, the buffering and stuff. Yeah, I'm back to zero. Yeah, so basically what had happened, I worked out the thing. Yeah, I'd even though I was connected via the not the USB, the Ethernet cable from downstairs, via my 15 meter thing, which I had to. Well, I didn't drill a hole. The guy come around and drilled a hole through my utility cupboard thing, and then up and through the floorboards. Anyway, yeah, I'd left on the Wi-Fi as well, and so it must have for some of the time been going down the Wi-Fi. For some fucking reason, I don't know why, and so that was it was back to the old days without me even realising it because it was telling me it was on the Ethernet cable, but it must have been using the thing. And as soon as I turn that off, it's fine again. And hopefully that won't happen again because I've now gone into my settings and said that in order to turn the Wi-Fi back on for this computer. I would have to do that manually, and I have no intention of ever doing so. So, hopefully we're okay. Well, she'll be in the... What? Okay, content warning. She'll be in the Asian rape camps, apparently. The fuck does that mean? I hope that isn't saying what I think it's saying. I hope that's making a serious point rather than saying something about her being raped. I don't want her to be raped. Jesus Christ. But maybe I'm misreading that. I don't know. Anyway, I call gay Tories Uncle Toms. Yeah, there's the basic principle of selling out a group of people. Anyway. We were talking about how the Nazis went to forcibly rape Asian. Oh, okay. Sorry, right. Okay, yeah. But I mean, yeah. I still hope she doesn't get raped, obviously. But I get the point you're making, and that's yeah. Yeah, the Nazis are horrific. That you shouldn't side with Nazis. I mean, that shouldn't need to be said, but it does, unfortunately. You had to tighten the collar on Rory's radar dish, you monster. No, where is he? Is he not? He's not in here. He fucked off, didn't he? Yeah, Rory's no. It's his cone of shame. It's his cone of shame. Which I mean, I wish I could trust him, but I can't. He will nibble it. He will nibble that tail, and that's not good. I do hope he doesn't need surgery because that's going to cost a fucking fortune. Jesus. And I mean, it's money I don't have, but it's money I'll find. If I have to go and rob banks in Minecraft, I will. I won't actually go and rob banks. In Minecraft or otherwise. Yeah. Anyway. Okay, the conversation in the chat's getting weird now. So, okay. I think, yeah, stop. Well, you say that, Flint. They say, is it just a coincidence that your internet got so much better when Rory started wearing the dish? Actually, I think you'll find that today's internet was shit, and he was wearing the dish. So clearly, the two things are not connected in the way you think they are. I didn't even check. Coming back the millionth time, I hadn't even checked if I'm on Twitch. This is even broadcasting on Twitch. Yes, it is. Happy Indigenous Peoples Day indeed. Do I have people? Are people even bothering to watch me on Twitch? There are a few. Okay. Okay, well, I'm going to raid you over to political perspective. And fuck off elsewhere. Okay. Yeah, political perspective are good people. Hopefully you'll enjoy their content. But I'll do my sign off then, which is if no, I'll just say no pass around. I think no pass around.